अनदर वीडियो और आपका आज की वीडियो
स्वागत है।
कल हम लोगों ने वीडियो देखी थी हु एम आई, जो कि स्वामी सर्वप्रियानंदा जी की वीडियो थी, और हम लोगों ने फर्स्ट पार्ट देखा था। वैसे तो एक ही पार्ट है, लेकिन हमने उसके 2 हिस्से कर लिए थे क्योंकि वीडियो काफ़ी लंबा था। और कल की वीडियो के बारे में बोलना चाहेंगे कि हम लोगों को कमेंट सेक्शन में पढ़ के पता चला कि भाई हमें कुछ समझ नहीं आई, लेकिन आप सब लोगों का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया कि आप लोगों ने हमें जिस तरीके से समझाया, जितनी डिटेल के साथ, उसके लिए तहे दिल से शुक्रिया। अब हम आगे देखते हैं, हो सकता है हम थोड़ा बेहतर समझ पाएँ, कोशिश ज़रूर करेंगे। तो चलिए देख लेते हैं ये वीडियो। लेकिन उससे पहले
इस वीडियो चैनल का ओरिजिनल लिंक आपको हमारी वीडियो के डिस्क्रिप्शन मिल जाएगा। सब्सक्राइब किया, लाइक शेयर को फॉलो कीजिए चैनल को। उसके अलावा ब्लॉग चैनल के इंस्टाग्राम लिंक भी हमारी वीडियो के डिस्क्रिप्शन मिल जाएगा। सब्सक्राइब किया, लाइक शेयर को फॉलो करें।
चलिए देख लेते हैं ये वीडियो।
You, like the station master, this one you are watching, dream world comes with a dream body, with dream, nice dreams and nightmares and all and so forth. You become identified with the dream body and dream mind, and you go through these dream experiences. Then that also goes away. Blank platform. You are the consciousness watching the blank platform. And again the waking state comes, and Rajdhani Express comes again. But you are apart from all of them. Not only you are apart from all of them, you are untouched by all of them. You are untouched by all of them. The sufferings and enjoyments of the waking state, of the dream state, and the blankness of the sleep state, none of them touch the pure consciousness which is apart from all of them. But it sustains all of them. In its light, the entire game is illumined. This whole thing is illumined in its light. Now we'll quickly go through the verse and try to understand what they are trying to say. Let me read out the verse once for you, then I'll break it up and explain it. Now you'll see it will all become perfectly clear. The verse goes like this, the mantra goes like this. Nantaf pragyam na bahish pragyam, na ubhayataf pragyam na pragyana ghanam, na pragyam na pragyam. Adrishyam avyavaharyam agrahyam alakshanam achintyam avyapadeshyam ekatma pratyasaram prapanchopashamam shantam shivam advaitam Chaturtham manyante sa atma savijñeyah. What does it mean? Let me take you through this. There are 3 parts here. The first 2 parts, first part, it denies that you are the waker. It says that you are not this waking person you imagine yourself to be now. You are not the dreamer. You are not the sleeper also. That's the first part. The second part of it will deny you are not this turiam, the reality, real you. You are apart from this waking world. You are not this physical body of the world or anything to do with this world. You are apart from the dream world. And you are apart from the blankness of the sleep world. The third part will tell you that you are in and through, just like gold is through all this. The third part will tell you, you are the consciousness which is watching all this panorama, this game of the Jagrat, Swapna and Sushupti. Okay, let me read it out. First, na anta pragyam. Now you can easily understand. Anta pragyam literally means the inward directed consciousness. It means the dreamer. He says, you are not the dreamer. Na anta pragyam. You are turiyam, na anta pragyam. The fourth one is not the dreamer. Na bahish pragyam. You are not the waker. You the turiyam. You are, your real nature is not the waker, which you imagine. Now all of us, this is our reality. We think, I am Swami Sarvapriyananda standing here in this lecture hall number 3 in IITK Kanpur. This is my reality. He says, no. You are the consciousness illumining this temporary appearance in your consciousness. Okay. You are not the waker. Na bahish pragyam. Anything in between, waking and dream sort of. Na ubhayata pragyam. You are not something in between also. In between consciousness. I think many students are familiar with this in-between consciousness. After a lot of, maybe a long lecture, we tend to go into an in-between consciousness, between waking and dream. So, I've seen many times the notes that you take in that in-between consciousness are very interesting. Something the teacher is something that is coming from your subconscious mind, something the teacher is thinking, and a mixture of that will come in your copy. Okay, so you are not in-between also, nothing in between. Na pragyana ghanam. Who is the pragyanam ghanam? The deep sleep. You are not this one also. You the turiyam, pragyana ghanam, na pragyana ghanam, turiyam, na pragyana ghanam. And na pragyam, here the word pragyam is interpreted as, are you some kind of God, omniscient God, Ishvara, Bhagavan? Na pragyam, you are not that also. So this is the meaning of pragyam. Na apragyam, the last word. Na apragyam, sandhi has been done, na pragyam. What does that mean? In that case, is my reality that I am not sentient? I am some jada vastu like a duster or a chalk? He says, no, not that also. So, na apragyam, you are not unconscious. You are not all-knowing God. You are not the waking person. You are not the dreaming person. You are not the sleeping person. Number one, Turiya is none of these. Number two, the second part starts. Adrishyam. What is Turiyam? Adrishyam. Literally it means invisible, but also means it is something that you cannot see, you cannot hear, you cannot touch, you cannot smell. It is not an object of our five sense organs. Sometimes people say, if God exists or Atma exists, why can't I see it? It's like saying, if the Higgs boson exists, why can't I see it? Because it is not yogya, it is not a subject of your normal vision. You cannot see it that way. If it was, if there is you can say that there is no elephant in the room. Why is there no elephant in the room? Because I can't see it. That's a perfectly correct statement. Because if there was an elephant, you could have seen it. But if there is an Higgs boson, you cannot say, because I cannot see it, it's not there. Similarly, here it says, the consciousness which you are is not something that you can see or smell or touch. Adrishyam. Second, avyavaharyam. It is not within transaction. Transaction means usable. What we can see and feel and touch, what we can speak about, what we can use, that is vyavaharyam. Pure consciousness is not an object which can be talked about, seen, felt and used. It is not transactable, it's avyavaharyam. But remember, it is the ground, it is the source of all vyavahara. Without that, none of this can occur. None of this can occur without the pure consciousness, which is illumining all this. But it is itself avyavaharyam. Agrahyam, it cannot be grasped, which means it is not a vishaya of the pancha karmendriyas. You cannot hold it with your hands, you cannot walk to it in pilgrimage. You're going to Badrinath or Kedarnath, I'm going to Turiyam. You cannot walk to the Turiyam. And so agrahyam. Alakshanam, this is a technical term. It means it cannot be inferred. Lakshana here means the sign by which you infer something. The road is wet. So what do you infer? There was rain earlier. So is there some such sign? In Sanskrit, the classic example is Parvato Vanniman Dhumat. There is fire on the hill because I can see smoke. There is a relation between smoke and fire. So if I see the smoke, I can infer there is fire. A lot of science is done like that. Through some science, and you infer a chain. But here, this cannot be inferred because there is no sign by which you can infer it. Then, achintyam, you cannot think about it. Have you thought about it? Then it is not Turiyam. You cannot think about it. But remember, the opposite also holds. Whatever you think about is illumined by this Turiyam. The fact that we are having a conscious experience is because of this Turiyam. So you cannot think about it. Achintyam, avyapadeshyam. It literally means it cannot be named. It cannot be named. It will take some time to explain why it cannot be named, but it's very interesting. Shankaracharya there goes into an exposition. Where can we use language? Where can we use language? There are 5 areas where language works, and he shows in the Turiyam, none of those 5 apply. I can tell you in brief, you can work it out for yourself. It goes like this. If you can use language if there is some jati, some species, if some object belongs to a class. So it's a cow. Why? We know the characteristics of the class of cows. So this object is a cow, you match it with the set and you say it belongs to that set. But there is no set of Turiyam. So it cannot be a part of a class. Jati. Then number second is guna. By some quality. Give me the red flower. How do you distinguish the red flower from all those flowers? By the quality of red. But you cannot say Turiyam has got some quality because it's supposed to be nirgunam, beyond all qualities. Then you can use kriya. Call the cook. Shankaracharya uses this example. Pachaka. Pachaka is the cook. How did you use language there? By the function of that person you are saying. Call the driver, call the cook. But Turiyam is nishkriyam. No activity. Unchanging. So you cannot use kriya there. Jati, guna, kriya, sambandha, relation. So call the teacher. Who is the teacher? Who is a relation of teacher and student? Because of the teacher and student, there is a relationship between these two persons, father and son or whatever. But Turiya, there is no relationship because it is one unchanging reality. There is no second apart from it. All these appear in its consciousness, but they have no reality apart from it. Just as bangle, necklace and ring have no reality apart from gold. If you remove the gold, the bangle disappears. If you remove the water, the wave disappears. If you remove the wood from this, the table disappears. Similarly, Turiya is the only reality which is appearing in all these ways. So there can be no sambandha, no relation between it and anything else. And finally, there is convention. They call it Rudhi. This person's name is Prakasha. Why are you calling it Prakasha? Just like that. It's just a name given by my parents. That this person is called Prakasha or Hari or whatever. There also you cannot use that method of naming Turiya, because to name somebody you have to point out this person. It has to be pointed out apart from all other objects. This person from now on is called XYZ. But you cannot point out Turiya that way. So language cannot operate in the case of Turiyam. And so Abhyapadeshyam. Up to this part is the second part of the mantra, where you will see actually he denies that Turiya is any of this. The entire physical world, the entire dream world, and the blankness of deep sleep, all of them are denied here actually. You cannot see it, you cannot touch it, you cannot infer it, you cannot think about it, you cannot speak about it. So all of this is denied. None of this is Turiyam. And then the third part he comes to, then what is Turiyam? Now he speaks about it in positive terms. He says, Ekatma Pratyaya Saram. Eka, one, Atma, I. Pratyaya, the cognition, the feeling of I-ness. Saram, the essence. If you follow this I feeling, you will come to Turiyam. You know, when Ramana Maharshi says, who am I? You practice that. It's this thing. Ekatma Pratyaya Saram. This is exactly what Ashtavakra Muni told Janak Raja. In that dream state where you there, dream is false, no doubt, but were you there? Yes, I was there. In this waking state now, are you there now? Yes, I am there. That is the Atma Pratyaya. I feeling, the consciousness which is in the waker, in the dreamer, and even in the sleeper, which is illumining the blankness of deep sleep. That consciousness is in and through all this, just like gold is in and through all this. And that is the Turiyam. Ekatma Pratyaya Saram. This is a very extraordinary word. Atma Pratyaya. I feeling. You follow that I feeling, you come to a core which is the Turiyam itself. Prapancha Upashamam. Upashamam means cessation. Prapancha is, these are Prapancha. Jagrat Prapancha, Swapna Prapancha, Sushupti, you cannot call it Prapancha, but anyway. Prapancha Upashamam. What is the Turiyam? Where it is completely untouched by the trouble and the sorrows and the limitations of these three Prapanchas. Shantam, absolutely peaceful, ever undisturbed. There is no world there to disturb you. That is your reality. And Shivam, Shivam here means Ananda Swarupam. It is full of joy. Advaitam, non-dual. Non-dual why? Because there is nothing apart from Turiya. Just as gold is Advaitam with respect to bangle, necklace and ring. Ring is apart from necklace, necklace is apart from bangle. But none of them are apart from gold. In fact, in all of them, what is the only reality? Gold. Why do you say it is the only reality? Because if you remove the gold, they will disappear. So with respect to these three, gold is Advaitam, non-dual. There is nothing apart from gold in this. Similarly, with respect to our universe, three universes, waking universe, dream universe, and the darkness of deep sleep. With respect to them, Turiyam is Advaitam. They are not apart from you, the Turiyam. In fact, in that sense, it's a tremendous statement. If this is not apart from you, the Turiyam, in that case, this waker is you, the Turiyam, and his entire waking world is actually you, the Turiyam. In that sense, you are the world. You can actually, the Advaitin declares, I am the world. Atme Vedam Sarvam. I am everything. I feel oneness with everything. Just like in the dream world, you were there, many people were there, non-living things were there in your dream. But when you wake up, what do you say? It was entirely constructed from my own mind. That means whatever you saw in the dream was you. Actually you. You are one with everything in the dream. You means the waker. You are one with everything in your dream. When you were dreaming, everything was generated from you. So you are one with everything. In the same way, in the waking world also, everything is generated from the Turiya or projected in the Turiya. So we are all one with all that we experience in that sense. So Advaitam. Last part you can easily understand now. Chaturtham manyante. People think it is the fourth, roll number 4 here. They say manyante. Foolish people think there is something fourth, some gold apart from bangle, necklace and ring, some gold is there. But there is no Atma apart from these three. You have to look there itself. So the fourth one is not here. The fourth one is here, which is shining through these three. You have to examine the experiences in the waking state, in the dream state, and the sleeping state, and for that you have to do it in the waking state. To examine the experiences of dream or sleep, you don't have to go into dream and sleep. You don't have to start sleeping. You have to look back upon those experiences and see what was common all through. What was common all through. It is not a fourth apart from all this. That's why he says Chaturtham manyante. Chaturtham literally means Turiya. People think it is a fourth reality, but actually it is the only reality, because 1, 2, 3 are actually false. These three are not real. They are appearances. Their reality is fourth. There are not 4 things here. There are not 4 things here. There is only one thing, which is gold. It appears as bangle sometimes, sometimes as necklace, sometimes as ring. The reality is gold. Similarly, the reality is the consciousness, which we are calling the fourth Turiyam. It appears as the waker now. It appears as the dreamer. It appears as the deep sleeper. And Chaturtham manyante. Who is this Turiya? We are coming to the end. Sa Atma. Sa Atma means that is what you are. Atma means I. Atma literally means I. Atma does not mean a ghost or something, Paramatma, nothing like that. Atma means I. Sa Atma. That fourth one is the answer to this question, which we started with. Who am I? Who am I? This fourth one. Turiyam. Sa Atma. Now what do you do after all this? Sa Vijñeyaha. That has to be realized. Not only listening about it in a class or reading about it in a book, but making it a living reality. One interesting thing, Swami Vivekananda says, I will end with this. Swami Vivekananda says, he who runs away from the world to meditate and die in a Himalayan cave, searching for God, he has missed the way. He who plunges headlong into the luxuries of the world, he wants to enjoy the world, he too has missed the way. Then what is the way? Then what is the way? The way is to deify the world, to spiritualize your everyday life. That's what Swami Vivekananda says. Now with this background, you can actually understand what he means. It is the pure consciousness which you are appearing as the waker now. But it is the same thing which in all beings. And it's the same thing which appears as the non-living world. And therefore, it is the same spiritual reality which I am, which you all are, which all this is. In that sense, we are one with the world. That is spiritualization of the world. When Upanishad says, Ishavasyam idam sarvam, you see God in all beings. This is how you see. This is the most profound and very sophisticated way of looking at it, which you find in the Mandukya Upanishad. And therefore, if anybody, Swami Vivekananda says, if you leave all this and search for Turiya elsewhere, it is like throwing away the bangle, necklace and ring and searching for gold. You miss the way. If you grasp hold of this waking world, this alone is real and I am this one, then you are in trouble, because this one will slowly become old and sick and die. This waking world is continuously changing.
Sir, why do we consider light better than dark? Or similar traits? I might not be myself clear because
Yeah.
I don't have that much insight in it. But I still have that feeling that we consider some things as good.
Yeah.
Why so? Why are the others bad?
Yeah. See, there is certain predisposition within us. Light better than darkness, if you say, we always experience ourselves as conscious beings. Isn't it so? Very word experience. Experience itself includes, it's almost tautological. It's almost circular to say that we experience ourselves as consciousness, because experience includes the fact that there must be consciousness. Otherwise, how will you experience? So, our very nature is to be conscious. You have never been unconscious. You have never had an experience of unconsciousness. When you come out of, suppose you were unconscious, you come out of it, then you think back and you say, at that time I was unconscious. But in unconsciousness, you don't experience anything. blankness. So you always experience your own self as consciousness, as a conscious being. Now just extend it. Light is very much like consciousness. Physical light, of course, is a good example for consciousness. Why? It illumines. And we are, just the opposite is darkness, which is an absence of light. So in that sense we like light because it's very much according to our nature. Another thing is, we always search for happiness. We always search for happiness. We try to avoid unhappiness. Therefore certain things which make us happy, we say they are good. With certain things which make us unhappy, we say they are bad. Although the things in themselves may be quite neutral, they may not be good or bad as such. But the effect they are having on us is happiness and unhappiness. Now, the whole idea here is, the self which I have discovered here is beyond this happiness and unhappiness. The happiness and unhappiness are all within this waking world and the dream world. Okay. Question? Yeah, there's a question there. Yeah.
One is that here they have used Nanta Pragyam, Bahish Pragyam.
Bahish Pragyam. It actually should be Bahish Pragyam, and the spelling mistake is there, yeah.
So they have used in Napumsakalingam.
Yeah.
Suddenly they will change it to Pullingam in last.
Yeah.
Why is that
Actually, it is difficult to say. They will simply pass it off as Ashva Prayoga. Ashva Prayoga means, Ashva means comes from the Rishi. So you don't hold the Rishis to the rules of Sanskrit grammar. So you will find a lot of times in Upanishads, in Kena Upanishad for example, you will find this usage, Te Vidanchakara. Te Vidanchakara, they knew. But you know Sanskrit grammar, you would say it should be Te Vidanchakruhu. They knew in plural. If Te is there, it should be plural. Vidanchakara is singular. Now the question is raised in Kena Upanishad, how come you are starting with plural and you end up, the verb is in singular? This is a basic Sanskrit problem. But there you cannot touch it, because the idea is the Shrutis. You should not use your grammar on the Shrutis, you just leave it as Ashva Prayoga. The translation would be roughly poetic license. Poetic license, just like you would not hold a poet to the rules of grammar. So here also you leave it, you just leave it like that. Yeah.
Last bit is there that Vivekananda. So who is that who has to know all these things? Because he doesn't have that any of the sambandha with any of the other things.
True.
So the knowing sambandha also who should have?
Absolutely. This is a good question, and I will deal with it tomorrow in one of the karikas. I'll just give you a one-line answer. Gaudapada Acharya will take up this question, I think in the 17th or 18th karika, which will come in the second handout, which you will get tomorrow. And the answer he gives is, just now, quite apart from all this, we find ourselves ignorant. We do not know this. We are just reading about it. We don't feel that. But our reality now is that we feel, I am this one, this I don't know. I don't know myself as this. This ignorance I have. About what? About the Turiam. I have an ignorance about the Turiam, and because of this ignorance, I imagine that I am the waker. Now in this state, I am the one who has to realize myself as Turiam. When I realize myself as Turiam, I will realize that there was no waker or waking state separate from me. Gaudapada Acharya's answer, one sentence answer to that is, for the purpose of instruction, the relation between knower and known, in fact this is the exact word he used, Upadeshad, for the purpose of teaching, the relationship is set up between Guru, Shishya, Shastra, and all of that is sublated, Badhita, when you realize yourself as the Turiam. It's not that they will disappear. Moment you realize I am Turiam, suddenly Sarvapriyananda will disappear, the classroom will disappear, everything will go into a haze of white light. No. They will still be there. Just like when you realize the blue sky, the blueness in the sky. Actually the sky is not blue. You know the physics behind it. So it just looks blue. Now once you understand the physics behind it, you know fully well the sky is not blue. After that, when you look up at the sky, what do you see? Blue sky. Similarly, here you will realize what is the Turiam. This world will keep on appearing. Your friends need not be scared, that if you realize the Turiam, we will all disappear. You will realize the background. Just like once you realize this is gold, it doesn't mean the bangle will disappear, or the necklace or the ring will disappear. You just know the reality behind it. That will come in the 17th or 18th karika. Exactly this question is answered. Yeah. Any other question?
So Maharaj, how the Turiya is separated from all these things?
I'll just finish that one and come to.
what is behind consciousness? What I am asking. So what is consciousness? Whether it is such that is flowing through all these three states.
Yeah.
But then who is observing that consciousness? What is behind that consciousness?
The answer would be there is nothing behind the consciousness, because according to Advaita Vedanta, consciousness is swaprakasha. It's like light, a tube light which illumines this hall. The hall is in darkness. When you switch on the tube light, the hall is illumined. Now, do you need one more tube light to illumine that tube light? You don't. The tube light illumines itself and the hall. In the same way, consciousness is self-illumined, and it illumines whatever comes in front of it. So there is you don't have to posit one more consciousness, because then it leads to what is called anavastha, regresses as ad infinitum, and it goes with our experience also. When I am conscious, I don't require one more consciousness to illumine the consciousness. But remember, this consciousness is apart from the thoughts. One thought can be about another thought. A thought can be about the world, and a thought can be about other thoughts also. So thoughts can be about other thoughts. That's what's called introspection. But this consciousness is not introspection. I'll tell you one interesting question came. You've heard of Susan Blackmore, those who do research in consciousness studies and AI and all. She is a well-known researcher. So she says this idea of self-consciousness, I, it's nothing permanent. And some spiritual people say I-ness, the permanent I is there. No. She says it's just like the example she gives is a refrigerator. When you open the door, there's a light. So whenever you open the door, there's a light. But when you close the door, is the light there? Actually, because you know how the refrigerator is designed, so there's no light there, you know that. But we can never see it unless you are a mechanic when you open everything up. But whenever you open the door, there is a light. And these people, Susan Blackmore says that these people, they make a mistake. When they look in their minds, they see an I-ness. But the I-ness disappears. Suppose we are talking about flow yesterday. When you are in flow, in fact, the I feeling disappears. So there is no permanent I, that's what she is saying. But she is making a fundamental mistake here. Advaita Vedanta would say, what she is taking, the refrigerator light, that is not consciousness. That is the ahankara of the waker, the I, the ego here, the knower. This comes and goes. This also comes and goes. This also comes and goes. But what illumines their coming and going, the station master, that is what is meant by Turiyam here, pure consciousness. See, till today, in Western thought, mostly in Western psychology, even in neuroscience, they don't make a distinction between mind and consciousness. They don't make a distinction between mind and consciousness. Thoughts and consciousness are supposed to be the same. In Western poetry, philosophy, you will see soul means the mind. Personality, mind, soul, they're taken as one entity. But in Indian thought, not only Advaita, consciousness or the Atman is separate from the mind, and that is separate from the body. A trichotomous view of the human personality. Body, mind and Atman. So consciousness is apart from the mind, where this I may come and go like a refrigerator light. This may come and go, she is right there. But what Advaita speaks about is not that I. Speaking about the light which shines on that I. When the I is present, when the I is absent also. One more question, then we wrap up. I think today's going was a little heavy. I sort of expected it to be heavy. Okay, I'll take up your question. Yeah, go ahead.
If I know that at the moment that I am not a waker, I am not a dreamer, I am not a sleeper, so I should be indifferent to all the emotions like happiness, sorrows or everything.
Yes.
I should just see emotions going in front of me.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So why should I feel sympathy to a poor, or why should I have a sympathy towards someone who needs my help? I should be indifferent to it.
True.
Why shouldn't I kill him?
Yeah, true. First of all, you wouldn't kill him also because you would be indifferent to your own emotions also, right? So now there's an interesting question, but the answer is also pretty straightforward. Now you see, there are two ways of looking at this. One is the Turiyam is apart from the waker and the waking world, right? First of all, why are we identified with all this? The reason given in Advaita is because we are ignorant of the Turiyam. We are not aware of it at all. We are not aware of it at all. We don't understand it. We may read about it, but we don't feel it. When we are ignorant of something, error comes. This is a fundamental thing. From ajnana, or let's use English, from ignorance comes error. comes error. If I don't know that there is a rope, in the darkness, the rope is there, semi-darkness. So what do I see? A snake.
Yes.
So I'm ignorant of the rope and I make the error, I think it's a snake. Right? I'm ignorant of myself as the untouched, unchanging, pure consciousness. And what I see in myself, in front of me, the world, this body and mind. And I immediately identify myself with this mind. Mind is full of thoughts, happiness, sadness, desires, everything. And I go on like this. I become the waker. I become the waker. Now, this is one way of looking at it. So the Turiya is apart from the waker. To answer your question, Turiya is apart from the waker. If you're really apart from it, you ought to be indifferent to it. Or another way of looking at it is the Turiya itself which appears as the waker in the waking world. Just like in your dream, you appear as the dreamer and the dreaming world. The one who is sleeping and dreaming. In his mind he creates a dream. And he is also himself in that dream. In fact, the entire dream, the people in the dream, the animals and the non-living things, and he himself in the dream, all of them are not apart from his mind. He's actually become everything in that dream. And this states that this Turiya itself is appearing as all this. In other words, the Turiya is one with all. Now, some sadhaka or some spiritual giant may stress the oneness aspect of it. You'll find in Vivekananda again and again and again, he says, you are one, we are one with the universe. It's not a rhetorical thing. You should feel one with the universe, which is good, but he states this as a fact, as an assertion. Actually, you are one with the universe. If you limit yourself to this body and mind, you're separate from all bodies and minds. But if you see what is behind that, like gold, then you are one with everything made of gold. Gold is one with everything made of gold. You will see yourself as pure consciousness. In yourself, all these things are taking place. Then you have a sense of oneness with all beings. If you stress that oneness, then the unhappiness of a person, the misery of another person actually will bring a response in you. Just as right now my misery brings a response in me, when I have Sarvatma Bhava, the oneness with everybody, it automatically does. And you see it in the lives of great sadhakas and great spiritual giants. They respond to the life, to the sufferings of others. But you are right. There may be a kind of spiritual giant who does not respond, who may not be cruel, but may simply be indifferent to the world which he will see as a dream. So there have been such people, and they have also been very great spiritual people also. And you can see it in them, a kind of deep peace and joy is there within them. If somebody comes in front who is suffering, they will help. And that has been explained in different ways. A simple explanation would be, these people have gone through a long period of spiritual practice. And so the mind of that person is suffused with thoughts of good thoughts, helpful thoughts. After realization, when he sees himself apart from all, what would he do? He would let the body and mind go on doing what they were doing, like an inertia of motion. So the inertia of motion of a sage would be to help others. He is apart from the helping also. He sees himself as illumining both the helper and the helped. This here, we are really going to the peak of the Everest here. The final word the Upanishads have to say about this. And I've packed so much into one class. I was seeing the explanation given by a very senior Swami. I've given you just 4 or 5 points here, the whole 1 hour session. That Swami, he explains this verse in 127 points, out of which I've given you less than 10% today. So if there seem to be gaps, it's very natural. If you think it's all perfectly clear, then either you are a realized soul or you haven't been following what's going on. There should be some gaps actually. There should be some areas of confusion or where you can feel a little uneasy about what's going on here.
भाई कल जो है हमने इसका पहला पार्ट देखा था, तो काफ़ी ज़्यादा जो है वो कमेंट सेक्शन में जो है लोगों ने कहा बिल्कुल भी नहीं समझ पाए, और लिटरली आज का बाकी का पार्ट जो है ना वो देख कर जो है ना वाकई जो है ना हम ये कहेंगे कि हम वाकई जो है ना वो चीज़ों को नहीं समझ पाए उस तरह से। लेकिन एक चीज़ है कि भाई मुझे लग रहा है कि वो एक इंसान की ज़िंदगी को ना स्टेशन मास्टर की जो है ना वो कह रहे हैं कि ये चीज़ें उसके सामने आती हैं जाती हैं, चीज़ों को वो हैंडल कर रहे हैं, लेकिन वो सारी चीज़ें जो हैं वो वक्ती तौर पे हैं।
मतलब जहाँ तक मैं समझ पाई हूँ ना, अगेन मैं क्षमा चाहूँगी अगर मैं नहीं समझ पाऊँगी। वैसे तो स्वामी जी ने भी बोल दिया कि ये थोड़ा टफ है, थोड़ा नहीं काफ़ी टफ है, तो या तो ये जिसको समझ आ गई वो बहुत ही रियलाइज कर चुका हुआ है, या फिर आपको बिल्कुल ही समझ आए, दोनों में से कोई एक ही चीज़ हो सकती है। बट आई थिंक जो कमेंट सेक्शन पढ़ के और जो मुझे थोड़ा एक आइडिया हुआ वो यही है कि तुरिया मीन्स लाइक कॉन्शियसनेस, मतलब आप हर चीज़ को विटनेस कर रहे हो बट रियलिटी नहीं है वो। और आपकी जो मतलब जैसे बीच में बोला भी, अब मैं एग्जांपल ये दे सकती हूँ जहाँ तक मुझे समझ में आया कि जैसे हम लोग कहते हैं कि जो आत्मा है वो ट्रैवल करती है, एक बॉडी से दूसरी बॉडी में ट्रैवल करती है और वो ट्रैवल करती रहती, बट वो आत्मा विटनेस तो हर चीज़ कर रही है ना। तो मतलब जैसे स्वामी जी ने भी बोला कि बॉडी, माइंड और आत्मा ये तीनों अलग अलग चीज़ें हैं, जो कि वेस्टर्न कंट्रीज अगर हम देखते हैं तो उनका कुछ और थॉट प्रोसेस है, इंडियन थॉट प्रोसेस कुछ और है। सो मुझे जहाँ तक तुरिया की समझ आई है कि मतलब हम लोग अभी जैसे अगर मैं ये बात कर भी रही हूँ, अब अगर मैं रिकॉर्डिंग भी कर रही हूँ, ठीक है ना, मैं ये चीज़ें विटनेस कर रही हूँ बट ये रियल नहीं है। मतलब जिन चीज़ों को हम रियल मान लेते हैं वो एक्चुअली में रियल नहीं होती, वो उस मोमेंट तक ही हमें क्योंकि रियल नज़र आ रही होती है, क्योंकि हम उसको समझ पा रहे होते हैं। और जो प्योर कॉन्शियसनेस है उससे हम इग्नोरेंट रहते हैं, इस वजह से हमें उस चीज़ की समझ नहीं आ रही होती। और मौसम कह रहा होगा कि ये मेरी बहन क्या बातें कर रही है,
मुझे कुछ समझ नहीं लग रही।
हो सकता है भाई मैं भी गलत बात कर रही हूँ, बट मुझे जहाँ तक समझ आई है अभी तक वो यही है। और मैं ये चीज़ एडमिट करूँगी कि ये लेक्चर समझना सीरियसली, इसके लिए आपको बहुत ज़्यादा प्रैक्टिस और ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा चीज़ें पढ़ने और जानने की ज़रूरत है, क्योंकि ये आपको एक मरतबा में समझ नहीं आती। और दूसरी बात, सबसे बड़ी कन्फ्यूजन पता है क्या रहती है? मतलब हम लोग इंसान ना इस तरह से चीज़ों को लेते हैं कि ना टचेबल और अनटचेबल चीज़ों में, एक वो चीज़ जिसको हम महसूस कर सकते हैं और एक वो चीज़ जो हमें नज़र ही नहीं आती, और जो नज़र नहीं आती और जिसको हम महसूस भी नहीं कर सकते, तो उसके लिए हमें ज़्यादा कन्फ्यूजन होती है। और इसीलिए मुझे लगता है कि इस टॉपिक को लेकर हमारे माइंड में एक कन्फ्यूजन है कि जितनी, जैसे मुझे ये चीज़ तो समझ आ गई है कि देखो जो गोल्ड है, अब गोल्ड है तो उसी की वजह से डिफरेंट उसकी फॉर्म जो है वो देखने को मिलेंगे। अगर गोल्ड ही नहीं होगा तो वो डिफरेंट फॉर्म ही नहीं होंगी, ठीक है ना। अगर बैंगल से नेकलेस भी बनाना है तो बैंगल जो है मतलब उसको
दोबारा से गोल्ड की फॉर्म में लाना पड़ेगा,
गोल्ड की फॉर्म में करेंगे, फिर उसके बाद वो नेकलेस बनेंगे। इसी तरीके से अगर हमारे हम कॉन्शियसनेस है तो ही हम हर चीज को जो है वो विटनेस कर पाएंगे, वरना हम लोग नहीं कर पाएंगे। मतलब ये अगेन मैं समझ पाई हूँ जहां तक मुझे लग रहा है।
मुझे लग रहा है आप किसी हद तक जो है ना वो सही समझ पाई हैं, लेकिन जो मैं कहूँगा कि भाई ये टॉपिक समझाने के लिए भी ना आपके पास बहुत ज़्यादा ज्ञान जो है वो होना चाहिए, फिर ही आप जो है, जैसे स्वामी जी की बात करें भाई, उन्होंने जो है पता नहीं कितना ज़्यादा अपनी ज़िंदगी में ज्ञान जो है वो हासिल किया होगा, तो फिर ही जो है वो समझा रहे हैं। और अगला बंदा जो है उसके भी जो है ना वो यानी कि जो सोचने की सलाहियत है, कैपेबिलिटीज़ है, वो बहुत ज़्यादा होनी चाहिए, तो वो समझ पाएगा। मैं भाई इस चीज़ में एग्री करूँगा कि भाई मेरे सोचने समझने की जो है ना कैपेसिटी में कहूँ या कैपेबिलिटी जो है कहूँ वो इतनी ज़्यादा नहीं है कि मैं ऐसी चीज़ों को जो है ना बहुत आसानी से जो है वो समझ पाऊँ। लेकिन समहाउ मैं कोशिश ज़रूर करूँगा कि हाँ भाई अगर ये एक चीज़ जो है ना जो मुझे थोड़ी सी तरह हट के जो है वो देखने को मिली तो मैं इसे ज़रूर समझूँ, इसे ज़रूर जानने की कोशिश करूँगा।
मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि इनिशियली नो डाउट डिफिकल्ट होता है, और वाकई मैं मौजम की बात से एग्री करूँगी, हमारे लिए ये इतना ईजी नहीं है समझना। मतलब ये बहुत एक डीप नॉलेज है, लेकिन मुझे लगता है जब तक आप सुनेंगे नहीं ना और सुनते नहीं रहेंगे, समझते नहीं रहेंगे, तब तक आपको आएगा नहीं। सो उसके लिए पहले सुनना समझना एक ये भी एक साधना है ना। मतलब आप प्रैक्टिस करते रहोगे तो ही आपको नए आइडियाज आएंगे, आपके माइंड में क्वेश्चंस आएंगे, आप क्वेश्चंस पूछोगे तो उनका जवाब जब मिलेगा तो आपको समझने में हेल्प मिलेगी। सो मैं ये बात बोलूँगी कि कल से लेकर आज तक इट वॉज लाइक कि समझ आ भी रही है और समझ नहीं भी आ रही, कुछ इस तरह की आप कह लो कि कन्फ्यूजन में हम लोग हैं। बट अभी तक जितना समझ पाए हैं वो तो यही है, क्योंकि जैसे गुरुजी ने, स्वामी जी ने बीच में बोला भी कि मतलब आई मीन्स आत्मा, मतलब आत्मा को आई ही बोला जाता है। सो आत्मा को लेकर जहाँ तक मुझे एक थोड़ा सा एक जो नॉलेज था उस प्रकार से तो मुझे जो समझ आई वो मैंने आपके साथ डिस्कस कर दी। बट हाँ मैं ये कहूँगी कि काफ़ी ज़्यादा ये एक लोडेड
काफी बहुत
लेक्चर था। हाँ बट हाँ जो IIT के स्टूडेंट्स थे जो कि भाई बहुत ही इंटेलिजेंट होते हैं, आई थिंक स्वामी जी को उनको देखकर भी ये लग रहा था कि मतलब काफ़ी ज़्यादा आज का हैवी हो गया, डिफ़िकल्ट हो गया। तो बट ये कि भाई हम लोगों ने भी समझने की कोशिश तो की है और
भाई कहीं
हाथ
पे
जोड़ के मैं
क्षमा मांगते हैं,
नहीं मैं
बिल्कुल।
हाथ जोड़ के यही चाहती हूँ कि भाई मुझे और जो ज्ञान है उसकी प्राप्ति हो ताकि मैं समझ पाऊँ इन चीज़ों को, क्योंकि ये बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग चीज़ है। इट्स लाइक इंसान की आंख जो नहीं देख पाती और इंसान का माइंड जो नहीं समझ पाता, आप उसको समझने की कोशिश कर रहे हो, आप कॉन्शियस होने की कोशिश कर रहे हो। क्योंकि मैं एक चीज़ देखती हूँ हमारी सराउंडिंग में, जो हम लोगों ने आज तक थ्रू आउट चीज़ें जो थोड़ी बहुत सीखी है ना, हम लोग अपनी सराउंडिंग में लोगों के साथ अगर वो भी डिस्कस करते हैं ना तो उनको वो भी समझ नहीं आती, वो हमसे भी यही क्वेश्चन करते हैं, अच्छा ये कैसे हो सकता है, ये कैसे हो सकता है। सो आई थिंक आप अपना जब सीखने का प्रोसेस आगे करते हो तो आपको समझ आने की कोशिश भी हो जाती है। बाकी भाई कल की तरह प्लीज़ कमेंट्स में बढ़ भर के बताइएगा हमें कि आज क्या हम थोड़ा सा भी समझ पाए हैं या नहीं समझ पाए, और फिर कॉन्टेक्स्ट और क्लियर करने की कोशिश करिएगा। और कल के कमेंट्स के लिए भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, और अब मिलेंगे हम आपसे नेक्स्ट किसी और वीडियो में। इसी तरीके से हमें वीडियो सजेस्ट करते रहिएगा और इसी के साथ हमें लाइक करें, वीडियो
गुड बाय।